Hi guys, EV Darrow back with you. I wanted to do a 6-month review on this 2023 Chevrolet Bolt 1LT. As many of you know, I ordered it about 9 months in advance. It took General Motors a long time to produce this car. But I picked it up March 11th, 2023, and have been driving it. I've been doing Uber. My wife and I last month took it down to South Florida and back on a huge 2,800 mile road trip and back. But I wanted to do a 6-month review of the car itself and ownership. So today, as I talk about this, today is Thursday, September 14th, 2023. So I've had it for 6 months and 3 days. So I kind of wanted to go over, I bought it because it's the cheapest electric car made. I don't know how to say that, including the tax credits. And it's a way of dipping your toes in the electric car market. So I went from a hybrid to this, and it gave me a chance. You know, it's got supposedly General Motors says 259 miles per charge. It's got a 65 kilowatt battery. I've been averaging, as many of you know, all summer, I've been averaging 300 to 325 miles of charge. It's been way over the estimated range. This winter, I'm sure that'll be a big draw back. You know, I know we don't have heated seats in the base model, so I'll have to use the regular HVAC system, and it's going to use more energy. I don't know if it's going to use 10% to heat the car up. I don't know. I haven't. In March, it was cold when I picked it up, but not winter cold, Illinois winter cold. We used the heat a little bit in March. It wasn't that bad. I didn't notice a huge change on it. So, but I wanted to kind of just go over. I've got 20,450 miles on the car now in 6 months. Yes, in 6 months. I've put 20,400 miles on this car. Now, that included the road trip to Florida of almost 3,000 miles. But up until this point, I have been averaging 3,000 miles a month with my part-time Uber driving. And also, you know, we're taking grandkids all over the place. I'm running around, and we take my car a lot. It's fun to drive. It's highly efficient and dirt cheap to charge in my garage overnight. Now when I go to the gas station to fill up my wife's van, I realize how much I don't enjoy that. So when you just in the evening, like last night, I got home about 8:30. We had been to a function with a grandson. Took one of my grandsons home. We got back home. I had driven for the day. All right, who's doing all the yelling and screaming? Okay, lots of screaming kids around. So I had done some Uber driving yesterday, and for the first time, both of my daughters have been on me about, Dad, you ought to be doing some DoorDash driving. You ought to be a dasher. So I went through the paperwork on all of that. And yesterday I went out and drove about, I don't know what we drove, 90 miles. My wife and I went out with me. We went out for 4 hours and kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of fun. We were delivering food all over. I think we did 13 deliveries or something in 4 hours. We had a really good time. It was kind of fun. But so anyway, yesterday I drove for Uber in the morning for about 3 hours. It was just an easy morning. I didn't want to push it. Went home for a couple of hours, and then my wife and I went out and we practiced this DoorDash delivery from 11 to 3, I think it was, something like that. I think we did a 4-hour block, and you can pick the blocks, the times you want to do it. You can pick all that. So we picked a 4-hour block. That was kind of fun. You average about, I think we averaged about I don't know, 20, 21 bucks an hour or something like that. But anyway, I tell you that to tell you this. I drove 80 miles Uber driving yesterday, and then we drove 95 miles for DoorDash. Then I ran over, picked up a grandson, and at a function he was at, and took him home. And then by the time I got home last night, it was about 8:30, I think. So I had probably driven, I don't know, 240 miles for the day, 230, 240 miles. I don't even remember now. And I still had, I want to say I still had like 90 miles left on the gasometer or the GOM or whatever you want to call it, the gas tank. I still showed 90 miles left. So I assumed I still had 25% battery life left, 26, 27%, somewhere in that ballpark. So then I just, it's so exhausting to then just plug in the port and go in the house, take your shoes off, and relax for the rest of the evening. It is so convenient and so simple. I have a level 2 charger in my garage, and I pay, I've said this before, I pay 12 cents a kilowatt to Ameren. I haven't contacted them yet about getting the, they have an EV discount, but with that comes, they'll give you an overnight rate of really cheap, but with that, they will then during the day have extremely expensive rates above 12 cents a kilowatt. So it's a catch-22. You're like, oh, during the night I'm going to save money while I'm charging. Well, then during the day you're going to charge higher rates, and you're going to pay a higher amount than the average 12 cents a kilowatt that I pay. I'm locked in at 12 cents a kilowatt, whether I have everything running at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 95 degrees and the air conditioning's on and the dishwasher's running and I'm charging my car, and I pay 12 cents a kilowatt. So we're just trying to make a decision on whether we want to do that or not. We'd have to, you got to be careful during the heat of the day then if they're going to charge you 16 cents a kilowatt, or I don't know, maybe it's more, I don't know. So we have to just be very careful with that kind of stuff. So having said that, I'm just locked in at the 12 cents when I'm not charging somewhere for free or stopping off getting some free charge somewhere. So, but I wanted to review it basically to let you know, so far, it's been fantastic. As many of you know that have watched my road trip videos to Florida and back, if you're not road tripping a Tesla, let's just be honest. I don't care what you're driving. If you're trying to road trip a $130,000 Lucid or a $100,000 Porsche, if you're using the CCS network, it's horrible. I'm not gonna pull any punches about it. Until everybody gets switched over to the North American charging system, the NACS network. I call it what it is, the Tesla network. Once everybody gets cut over to the Tesla network, everything will be so much better. So much better. It'll all be fixed. Elon Musk has it going on, as everybody knows. He's a decade ahead of everybody else out there. And I don't even own a Tesla, and even I know that. So but having my car, and for what I use it for 98% of the time, it's perfect. Like I said, we've got friends in Indianapolis. It's 200 miles over to their house. I can make it to their house. They've got a charger. I can charge in their garage if we're taking day trips. So, I've taken a trip over there. We went over a couple months ago over there. By the time we got done taking day trips and come back home, I'd driven like 750 miles on that trip to Indianapolis, and it was fine. No issues. We run up to Chicago from time to time. It's from Central Illinois. It's 170 miles up to Chicago. We run up there. I know where the chargers are up there. I have an app, and you can check PlugShare or EVgo. And I still have a ton of EVgo credits. So I'll just use that and charge for free up there. So we can do that. go up there, put it on a charger for 45 minutes while we're grabbing some pizza, and come back. That's no big deal. Those aren't real road trips. So when you see people who are saying, I took this massive 17-day road trip, and I went 300 miles, those aren't road trips. That's a day trip, Basically, if you're driving anything under 350 miles in a day, it's not a road trip, it's just a day trip. So it's kind of like clickbait when you see that's a massive road trip in my electric car, and then when you get to it and they took they drove 300 miles. It's like, seriously? But anyway, get off task sometimes. But for what we use this car for, in this 6-month review, it is Uber driving, and now maybe we'll do DoorDash because my wife can ride with me and we deliver. We had a great time yesterday. The car, so far, we've had zero expenses. And I know it's a new car. I've had people say, oh, brand new car shouldn't cost you anything. Okay. It hasn't. And I'm not expecting it to. As soon as we got done with the road trip, I wanted to tell you, even after 20,000 miles, now people always worry about, your batteries aren't going to last, and batteries cost you $17 million to replace, and blah, 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 blah. Everybody has some fears, that never seem to ever come to fruition. I have a 100,000 mile warranty on the battery, the 65 kilowatt battery, and the drive motor. Okay. So for the first 100,000 miles, it's going to cost me $0 if anything were to occur. And I don't expect anything to occur, because after our road trip, when you drive on the highway at 70 and 80 mile an hour, your miles per kilowatt are down. So I was only getting about 220 miles a tank full at that time, something like that. But as soon as I got back, and I got back into my routine of Uber driving, and I drove and then, run it down, then I charged it up. This morning, I got in the car and I had charged it overnight. I got in first thing this morning. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had to leave the house about 7 o'clock. Got in the car. It showed 316 miles on the charge for a full tank. So we just jumped right back up where we were at, and everything, the last month or two, even the last all summer long, it's shown anywhere, depending on how I drive, because when it fills up, it goes off of your previous driving habits. So if I drove like a NASCAR driver, it would probably say you've got 220 miles, when you fill it up, because I'm getting a horrible miles per kilowatt. But I currently, the way I drive, and it's stop and go traffic all the time, I'm averaging about 5 miles per kilowatt. The car, we're at 4.5 miles per kilowatt since the purchase of the car, and it had 1 mile on it, I think, when I bought the car. So I've been averaging 4.5 miles per kilowatt. And that includes the 3,000 miles that we drove to Florida and back, that I probably only averaged 3.8, 3.9, 4.0, different fill-ups, so to speak. So that I had been at 4.6, and that brought it down to the lifetime of 4.5. Well, now we're back driving again, doing this, averaging 5 miles per kilowatt. That's going to boost probably back up before winter hits. It'll probably be back up to 4.6 miles per kilowatt lifetime on the car. And then we'll see where the winter goes. I mean, if it's horrible, 20 below zero, and I've got the heat running like crazy, I'm sure it'll drag it down some. But I don't know. It'll be, and I'll share it with you guys, because I'm not going to lie. I'm up front. I tell it like it is. The good and the bad, the ugly, whatever you want to call it. I'll tell you if things are bad. Like I said, on the charging networks on road trips, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I just sent a message to Plug and Play EV. They had a teleconference the other day. They're talking about the charging networks and what's going to happen and stuff. And I've been saying this for months. There will be no Electrify America in my opinion, in 3 to 5 months. Once everything gets switched in 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, it's going to take a year before people start using the Tesla charging network. And then the following year, I'm going to go out on a limb. The following year in 2025, all manufacturers, well, except for Volkswagen because they own Electrify America, do the math, they're going to have Tesla ports in their car. There will be zero reason on a road trip to ever go to an Electrify America or, unfortunately, an EVgo or Blink or any of the other numerous charge points, unless those companies all add a Tesla charger to their systems. And yes, Electrify America, you fix what's wrong in all of your chargers. You can't have 25% of your chargers broken and only have 4 chargers and only 3 of them working. You know, when right next door you got a Tesla that's got 12 or 16 chargers and they all work. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's like second grade math. That's my term that I use all the time. It's so simple. You just got to have, if we want EV adoption in the United States, you got to have a ton of chargers and they have to work. Everybody that drives a road trips an EV anymore, like a Tesla, it's not even an adventure. It's boring. It's simple. And people, they've stopped making videos. Years ago, they used to have this. I road tripped my Tesla 3,000 miles, and how did I do it? And I used to watch videos on YouTube all the time about that. Not anymore. Now it's like, you want to talk about boring? You drive 200 miles, you plug it in. You don't swipe, you don't do anything. You plug it in, and then you go to the bathroom, grab yourself some Twizzlers or whatever, because they always put them in a very populated area usually, whether it's stores, restaurants, truck stops now, and Buc-ee's, and they're putting them everywhere. And usually by the time you get back to your car in 10 to 15 minutes after using the bathroom and stretching, the Tesla is telling you, okay, dude, you ready to roll? Let's get on down the road. We got, more than enough charge to go. And then you unplug the charger and you get in the car and leave. No fuel smell, no issues, no nothing. You just get in it and go. On our road trip to South Florida, at a couple of our locations where I was charging in a EVgo chargers, where there were like 3 or 4, at the same location were 12 or 16 Tesla chargers. And I talked to a couple of Tesla owners. There's no range anxiety. There's no issues. They just work. The car tells you when it's time to charge. They tell you in advance if the chargers are full. They tell you, and then like one of the guys told me, he's like, if I'm driving down the road and it says that 12 of 12 chargers are full, or 16 of 16 are full, which is rare, he said they'll tell you that 50 miles in advance. Well, usually by the time you get there, they're empty. Then they've all charged and left. But Tesla's also very conservative on, well, you're down to 22%. We would like you to charge at this. And one of the guys told me, he's like, I usually just skip that charger if I have it in my route planner, because I already know that down the road a little bit is another set of chargers. And then it'll say, okay, now you're going to arrive with 13%, not 23% at the next set of chargers. And then you just roll in, again, plug it in and, do whatever you do for 15 minutes. I don't know. So, I'm kind of getting, again, sorry about going down those rabbit trails. I do that. I'm trying to stick with this car, and for what I purchased it for, it is exactly what I purchased it for. It does what I want it to do, and it is an Uber machine. It just runs, it's phenomenal. Lots of people said a lot of good things about the car. I have not had anybody say, oh, I can't fit in the car, and oh, it's terrible, and I can't, nothing. That's why one of my videos was why this is the best rideshare car going. It beats the Tesla for that, okay? Tesla doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay. On one hand, I don't blame them, because Apple and Tesla are each their own prioritized machines. They all want to control everything. But in my car, I have it. Now, I know General Motors is talking about getting rid of Apple CarPlay in future cars, as long as they continue to make mine still work. But when I'm running Uber, it's so nice that the navigation pops up on my 10.2-inch center screen. Oh, yeah, that is the way to go. It works perfect. And I don't want to run that in the ground, but back to basics. Everything that we use that's for on this car it's doing exactly what I wanted to do when I purchased it. Now, I haven't filed my taxes yet. I won't do that till next year. But I'll get up to a $7,500 federal tax credit. And that's going to take, my car was $25,900, and it ended up being $26,800 because I actually, with I don't know what happened. I didn't buy anything other than I got the 220 Charger added on. I don't know if that was $150 or whatever it was. But anyway, $26,800 plus taxes, fees, license, title, blah, 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 blah. Mine ended up being $29,000 out the door. And then I'm going to get a $7,500 tax credit. So you're looking at $22,000 basically. Yes, Illinois ran out of money on their $4,000 tax credit. I was hoping to get a Illinois $4,000 credit, but that didn't work. So unfortunately, now they're issuing it again now, starting in November. I think it's November, December, and January. They're going to try to offer that again, a $4,000 state rebate check. So they're literally going to mail you a rebate check if you take possession of your electric car between those 3 months. So I've even thrown rumors around. I don't know if I'll do it or not. I've considered upgrading to a Tesla in January. So I'm still in preliminary thought process with this. But if I can get the right amount of a trade-in on this car, and I can upgrade to a Tesla, and I can get the $4,000 Illinois rebate and a $7,500 federal tax credit for next year, one of these days, the federal tax credit is starting to be at the point of sale. I thought it was supposed to be in January, so if they're going to knock $7,500 off the purchase price of the car, and then Illinois is going to send me a $4,000 rebate check in the mail, and I can get a good trade-in value on this car. That's going to be the key. If they say it depreciated much at all, I'll just keep the car and we'll just keep on keeping on doing exactly what we're doing, because I've seen zero battery degradation in 20,000 miles. I'm not expecting any until I get around 100,000 miles. I could be wrong. When we hit 40, 50,000 miles, I'll do that, or the 1 year review, I'll do that. But currently, nothing has changed. I was just trying to think of anything. I haven't even put windshield washer fluid in the car. I need to I don't have a low light, but I probably need to do that. After 6 months, I haven't even spent $2 on a gallon of windshield washer fluid. So I know when you purchase a new car nowadays, internal combustion engine car, a lot of times they'll say, we'll give you 2 years of free maintenance. So I'm not doing anything better in this car than what if I bought a new Toyota and I went in for free oil changes every 7,500 miles. They're going to give you 2 or 3 free oil changes anyway. So over the first couple of years, you're not going to have any maintenance costs. So currently, I'm not ahead. When I say I haven't spent anything in maintenance costs, you wouldn't on a new car anyway. Most new car companies give you that, like I said. So I'm not telling you anything different than what you would already have. So, and I mean, other than saving huge amounts on fuel costs right now, I'm not way ahead in anything other than fuel costs. And I was just doing the math. If I owned my Prius, my previous car, my Toyota Prius, over these 20,000, I just want to give you this is a ballpark figure. Over the 20,000 miles, I would have spent about, at current gas prices, which I'm at Hy-Vee right now out in Grand Prairie in Peoria, Illinois. I think the price was $3.67, but I can't see it now. I think it was $3.67 a gallon. So at my current prices, I would have spent about $1,500 on fuel in the most efficient combustion engine made. The Prius has got it going on. I would have spent about $1,500. Now, as you know, I get a lot of free charging. Currently I'm at Hy-Vee and I'm getting a free charge. I've got some stuff going on out here. And I'll just tell it like it is. My brother has lymphoma cancer and he is out at the Illinois Cancer Center, and I come out here, I bring him out every 3 weeks for chemo treatments. So I've got a couple hours to spare and I stop over here and I get free charge. So, and I'm gonna head back over there to visit with him here in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to make this video real quick and I'll upload it and we'll go from there. But I got off task again. See how I am? Once you get old, things happen. So, if I would have paid the 12 cents a kilowatt for every mile that I've driven in this car, it would have cost me like almost $500. So I saved $1,000 in 6 months over the most fuel efficient car made in America. Okay? I'm trying to keep it simple. That doesn't say a car that gets 20 miles per gallon or 25. That's 50 miles per gallon in the Prius. And I've saved $1,000 in 6 months over it. So, and even getting free oil changes, think about that. I'd have been in for at least 2 oil changes, and you got to schedule those. You got to try to get into Toyota. Then you got to take time off if you're doing something to go in. So even though those would have been free oil changes with the Prius, I would have had to try to schedule it, take time off from work or whatever you're doing. I'm retired, so I don't have to do that. And you don't have to worry about that because there's no maintenance. I am going to check the cabin air filter, and I'll do that in the next week or so just to see. I think they said at 24,000 miles or every couple of years, you're supposed to look at that, and it's behind the glove box. So I'll check that out. We'll go from there. So, but just the convenience factor, and I want to get into that just a smidgen. Plug it in the garage, go to bed, it's full, or it's at 90%. You can set the stages that I want it at 90%. Okay, I don't want it at 100% charge. I only want 90%. It can do that. You have your timing you can set on when you want it to be ready. So last night when I plugged it in the garage, when I came in at 8:30 or whatever it was, it didn't start charging. I had delayed charging set. I wanted it to be ready by 5:30 this morning. So, and you can adjust those every day of the week. On the weekends, I don't have it be ready until 8 or 9. Like if we're going to church on Sunday, I don't have it ready till 9 because we don't leave for church until maybe 9:15, 9:30. So you can schedule that. And I had it scheduled that I wanted it ready by 5:30 this morning because I needed to get up and shower and shave and get ready to go help my brother. So that kind of stuff is the way it should be. It's scheduled. I got it. And they sent me a text at 5:40 a.m. Ding, your car's fully charged and ready to go. Now that's convenient. Unless you have some guy that's going to take your car over to the gas station and fill it up for you and bring it back to your garage and get it ready to go. If you don't have that, this is 10 times more convenient. Again, the only time I go is to take my wife's minivan over to the gas station to buy gas. That's the only time I'm ever at the gas station unless she wants a Pepsi. And then we go to Circle K and grab a soda. But that's it. I don't go to the gas stations and convenience stores anymore. There's no need. Same with, there's no oil changes. There's no fluids to check. I mean, other than windshield washer fluid. The maintenance costs should be zero. Now, I am going to have to pay for tire rotation because I don't want to buy the sensor. I'm not a fan of that. I shouldn't have to buy. Computers nowadays ought to be able to, when I rotate the tires myself, which I like working on cars, it should automatically update and research and check all 4 sensors on all 4 tires by itself. They don't do it. You have to get a sensor and go around and reset the sensor system after you rotate the tires. Now I'm over again. I haven't rotated them yet. I'm gonna probably go to my local Chevy dealer. That's $19.99 for a tire rotation. That'll be a huge expense. I'll write that on my spreadsheet. That'll be my first expense on my car. So unless I buy the sensor tool off of Amazon, and if I buy it off Amazon, then I use that. I'll rotate the tires myself and I'll go around and redo that every time. So I'm trying to decide what to do. I haven't made up my mind yet. So let me get out of your hair. My car's fully charged already. I had driven it like, I don't know, 50 miles this morning, and it threw it on the free charger, and I got free 50 miles back. It's full, and I'm gonna run over and visit my brother and talk to him a while he's getting his chemo treatments. So, and by the way, today is his 6th and final chemo treatment, I hope. Once we get the new PET scan in, we'll see. Hopefully he'll be doing fine. So with that, let me get out of your hair. I want to thank everybody, the new subscribers, and everybody who's been keeping track and sending me comments and liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. Again, I have a very tiny channel. I'm just trying to see if this thing works. If anybody's even interested in a 2023 Chevrolet Bolt, I know getting electric cars into the system is kind of new and it's not taken off yet, but any questions you have, I'd be more than willing to answer. I mean, I'm transparent with everything, you know. If it's bad, I'm going to tell it like it is. If it's good, I'm going to tell it like it is. So with that, please have a blessed week. I appreciate everything. You guys just stay safe. Thank you.